Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another speed build. It's time for a modern mansion on a 50 by 50 lot in Granite Falls. After building all these smaller builds, it was time to build on a 50 by 50 lot, to be honest, and I just wanted to whip out the terrain tools, so I just wanted to build a typical KateEmerald mansion, and it was a lot of fun. The build itself isn't that big. I know that I always say this, but this time it's really true. It's spacious, it's a mansion, but it's not overwhelmingly huge. There are 3 bedrooms in total, so it's not super big because, as you can see here, I used a huge part of the lot to have some fun with the terrain tools, so I did a lot of landscaping. So at first I raised the terrain a bit to create a slope, and this is like a walkway which is going to lead up to the house. I've explained this before, but you just have to apply terrain paint to your raised terrain, and this will be a good indicator to know if your Sims will be able to actually walk on the terrain. Because when the terrain is too steep, your Sims won't be able to walk on it, and also you won't be able to apply any terrain paint to it because all the steep slopes have the same color. As you can see here at the edge of this monstrosity, you can't change the color there. It's just brown in this case. I think it depends. It's a little different from world to world. I think the color of the slopes is actually a bit different in other worlds, but I'm not sure. So I just applied this terrain paint, which is part of Eco Lifestyle, and this way I already knew that my sim would be able to walk in this area. At this point, I had no specific plan for the house itself. I just knew that I would like to have a modern mansion, and this was it, because in the past I have built a couple of cabin type of builds on this lot because I feel like Granite Falls is just perfect for this type of architecture. But this time I wanted to have this contrast of a really beautiful rocky natural environment and also lots of landscaping. Everything is kind of natural and rustic, and then I have this very modern mansion in between all of that. So this was kind of what I was going for, but I had no idea what to build really, just modern and lots of landscaping. So here at this point I was just having a lot of fun to do the landscaping, and I was just adding one more stuff. I wanted to hide the area below this debug fence, which is part of auto retreat, and I knew that I would like to have this slope as I've explained, so my Sims would be able to walk up there, or your Sims, whoever's going to move in. And I just wanted to have this beautiful slope, and I applied some terrain paint in between so it looks more natural because I felt like it looked too polished. I just had this Eco Lifestyle paint, which is just gray. It just looks like concrete, which doesn't make a lot of sense. So I wanted to have different colors, and I was really scared that the terrain paint would just disappear when I was placing the lot again to check if everything is still there. I've talked about this before. There is this very famous bug where your terrain paint just disappears, and I said that I don't really care that much because usually I just color in my flower bed with one color and that's it. And this time I was trying to be more creative with the terrain paint, and I was mortified that it would now happen again, but luckily everything stayed in place and it was alright. And I wanted to have a river going around this mountain, or whatever you would like to call it, and of course I had to build a bridge, so I used my good old trick of building a room, building a floor piece on top, deleting the room, then lowering my floor piece. In this way I was able to create a bridge because my floor piece is floating. And then I simply built a river using the pool tool, and I decided to have a really bright blue color. It would make more sense to have maybe a greenish color, but I wanted to have this beautiful pop of color. Also, when you think of Canada, for example, there are these beautiful rivers and lakes which are super, super bright and blue and so beautiful. Like over here in Germany, when I think of lakes or rivers, it's always muddy, it's dark green, and not really appealing, to be honest. And even when you are at the coast in the north of the country, like it's like not really appealing when it comes to the color. Like, of course, a color like this is so much more beautiful, like really tropical and beautiful. I don't know, just love this. And then I wanted to have some stills for my bridge, and I used a season object. There is a column which is part of seasons, which is not in the column section. It's a regular object. You can use it just to decorate something. So this way we are able to rotate it using the tool mod, because you can't rotate regular columns, but because this is technically not a real column but just an object, a decorative object, we can do this. So I used the tool mod to rotate these, and this way I was able to have a beautiful rustic looking yet kind of modern bridge, because I don't know, the color and the way it looks, it just has a modern appeal to me in some ways. And I inspired myself by building this bridge because I then decided later on to have these huge stilts that are going to support my huge modern build on the sides of the build. I mean, you already saw the finished build in the very beginning. And this was kind of where this idea was born. I built this bridge and then I figured, hey, it would be fun to just include more of them so it looks balanced, as I always like to say, and it's just something new and fresh. And as always, the disclaimer, you don't need the tool mod to download this slot and to use it. I just use it to rotate stuff, and you can simply grab it from the gallery and place your lot and everything will still be in place. I then built multiple pools to have some type of waterfall. I just wanted this to look very interesting. At first I wanted to use the university waterfall, which is way too big. Like, we have 3 animated waterfalls in total in this game, which can be found in the debug menu. 2 are part of university and 1 is part of island living, and I used the island living one because they are just huge. The university waterfalls are huge, and 1 is even bigger, like almost as big as the lot. So this is like really difficult. I wish we had more debug waterfalls, smaller ones. In the Star Wars pack trailer, there is a waterfall in the background. You can only see it for 1 second or something. And as soon as I watched the trailer, I thought, okay, maybe this is a waterfall. Maybe it's going to be added to the debug menu. So I'm just hoping for a beautiful waterfall. It was looking like it was really like raining down, really beautiful, like a totally different look from these waterfalls that we have now. So maybe there's going to be a new waterfall. It would be amazing, because anytime I'm working with waterfalls, I'm using the island living one, like most of the time. I think I've created 1 or 2 builds using the university one. So we will see. I'm just hoping for more animated debug stuff. Like, honestly, I've talked about this in my last video, how the recent packs cater to a very specific audience. You kind of have to be into Star Wars or sci-fi. You have to be into knitting, this kind of stuff. I've talked about this before. And to be honest, for these packs, I just mostly hoped for amazing debug objects. I mean, I was also kind of hyped for the packs because I'm always hyped. I just want new themes to build for. I just want new stuff. And Equalized, I had some amazing objects like the windows and stuff. But I'm always hoping for the debug menu, because this is like a neat little surprise. You never know which debug objects you are going to get. And also for the new Star Wars pack, there are some new rocks. Like, it's a very rocky landscape when you take a look at the trailer, and there are these amazing rocks, and I imagine we would get these in the debug menu maybe, which would be great. Here for this build, I used some rocks which are part of Realm of Magic. They are very pointy. They have this very pointy tip, and they look really beautiful. There are similar ones in the Vampires pack, and I feel like the ones that we saw in the trailer looked a little different. I could be wrong though. Maybe they are identical, which would be sad. But I'm also hoping for these rocks, so I'm more hyped for the debug menu at this point, because I'm excited but also scared to work on some type of steampunk build. But I will do this. I can do it, I hope. There are so many builders who are so good when it comes to this type of style. I'm just like a mansion builder, so we will see what's going to happen. And here I'm working on my stilts or support beams for the house itself. So as I said, I've inspired myself by building this bridge, and this was like really tricky, and I don't know, I just had to position them in the correct spot and on the same level, and as you can see, I'm struggling a lot. The problem was that the terrain in this area had like different levels, so a part of it was raised, then we had the pool at the bottom, so I just had to find a way to position them in the correct spot so it looked all like just good and everything was on the same level and all that. And then I started to place some windows finally. So I was going for a very simple, almost minimalistic look for the exterior. I wanted to have a white color for the exterior, just some windows and not a lot of decoration, some fences. So I wanted this to be very simple. So the showstopper here is the landscaping and how this is kind of very organic. This house was built in between the terrain, and I don't know, it just flows together. So I just wanted to have this very minimalistic yet organic look in a way. And I then decided to use some columns which are part of Ecolifestyle Style, because the color is almost identical to the color of these fake season columns, so it was just perfect. I also decided to have an exterior trim in the same color, and in the back I just placed a lot of these rocks and I just lowered them into the ground using tool, and I placed lots of trees. So on the back there's not a lot going on because I had raised the terrain so much that I have a super steep slope in the back. And you can't really do anything there because of the steep slopes. So I was just decorating it and making it look beautiful. And because parts of the build are diagonal, I had to add a floor piece, so I was actually able to attach some stairs. And the cool thing is that your Sims are not only able to walk up the slope, they are also walking below the ceiling, and then they just walk up the stairs. So it's all functional. It looks like really complex and there's a lot going on landscaping wise, but your Sim is just walking up and entering the house like not a problem. And here on the left side, this is a separate building. I didn't connect this building to the rest of the house. There's going to be a bedroom and a bathroom, so this is like maybe a perfect like bedroom for a butler, for example, or if you have some teenager kids. So this is separated from the rest of the house, but it's like very close to the main house, so it's like not very far away and your Sims can just walk up there. I then decided to add more of these columns just so it looks good, but this one is not really that visible because there are so many rocks and trees. The trees I used are also part of Outdoor Retreat. Some of them can only be found in the debug menu, or one of them. I don't know, they should have included this one in the pack as well. It's just so beautiful. Also yesterday the top Spark creators were announced, and I'm really excited to just take a look at all these amazing submissions and the winners of this round. I'm still confused how it all works. I mean, there's going to be a second round probably with a different theme, or I have no idea. I didn't enter. I decided against entering. I just didn't feel like it. I'm just saying this because some were like asking me in the comments if I entered, if I participated in the whole Spark thing, but I didn't. I don't know, maybe next time, if there's going to be a next time, if there's going to be a different theme. I think if it would have been some residential lot kind of situation, I would have definitely entered. I've built some wedding venues in the past. I've also built one, I think this year, for this spring collab, and it was like, I really like how it turned out. It was quite beautiful, but I had used Tool, and otherwise I would have just uploaded it and that's it. But I had used Tool for this, which wasn't allowed, which is good. I mean, there are console players who also entered the Spark challenges, and there's no mod support for console, so this wouldn't be fair. So I think it was a good thing to not allow any mods for this kind of challenge. But yeah, who knows, maybe next time. Let me know in the comments down below if you entered. Maybe you are one of the top creators. Let me know if you enjoyed it and what you think about the whole thing. But yeah, I just enjoyed to take a closer look. There are always some new simmers that you discover this way, because sometimes you just, I don't know, there's just so much going on Twitter, for example, and Instagram. There are just so many of us, and it's really hard to kind of miss some creations and to just not see something. Or maybe people, like, this has nothing to do with Spark, but sometimes someone is tagging me or mentioning me and I don't even see it, because it's just, there's just so much happening on Sims Twitter and Sims Instagram or Simstagram and all that, so it can be confusing. So I really like that there are a lot of creators that you just kind of find because of Spark, and I really enjoy that. And congratulations to all top Spark creators, of course. So here I'm working on the interior, and I wanted to have this cabin feel. As I said, I've built some cabins on this lot, and this was my inspiration. I was in the mood to build a cabin, but the house itself is modern. But on the inside, I wanted to have a mix of this typical cabin aesthetic or cabin mansion. Whenever I'm labeling a build a cabin, everyone is like, this is not a cabin, it's a mansion. I mean, it's a cabin mansion, probably, kind of. So I wanted to have this very warm toned color scheme, lots of oranges almost, I guess, warm wood tones, and of course a really modern appeal. These counters are part of Idle Living. They're just perfect for this, and I decided to have a custom backsplash in the kitchen, so I simply placed 2 Idle Living paintings behind these shelves. I mean, we didn't get any matching cabinets in Idle Living, so I had to use the matching shelves, and then I placed some lamps on top of it, and at this point I was sold and I was really happy. Sometimes I struggle with the interior, but here at this point I was like, yeah, this is good. I really like the lamps. This kind of inspired me, and then I just liked how it all turned out, and I placed a lot of tables for some reason. Like, there is this very small dining table, which is like a area to have some breakfast for your Sims. Then I'm also going to add a table which is part of university, and the cool thing is it almost looks like a regular dining table, but you can only use bar stools and no regular chairs, which is amazing. And then I also included just a regular dining room. So I mean, it's a mansion, a weird mansion in a way when it comes to the floor plan, and there are only 3 bedrooms, and it's like really special and unique, but it's still a mansion, so I wanted to include a proper dining area. And also the living room, I once again kind of inspired myself when it comes to this build, and because I had used these paintings as a backsplash, I also wanted to use some paintings behind my TV, and at the bottom the wood is part of Dine Out. There is a wall decoration which is just a simple rectangular object, and it comes in different swatches and also in a beautiful wood swatch, so I just used it below the TV and the paintings, and then added a shelf and the same lamp that I had used in the kitchen. And I used these equalizer sofas because of the whole color scheme. They're really beautiful. They are orange. And then I had some space left behind my living room area, and I decided to turn it into some type of office. There's a piano, so your Sims can just level up their piano skill probably. There's a computer, so I used a regular table for this. And then I added a chess table because there was still some space left. I really like how the whole floor plan turned out. I just always ring my floor plan. I never know what's going to happen because I just built the exterior, as you guys know. But here I really like how it all kind of flows together. Also this bar that I built, which is diagonal, it all kind of makes sense for some weird reason. And I was struggling, which I think is not really included in this video, but I was struggling so hard to build these stairs because whenever I want to remove a ceiling, it's not really working, and the light is just like outdoor light for some reason, even though there's not a hole in the ceiling anywhere. And I figured out that if you just build a wall or a fence and then you use the sledgehammer tool, it's kind of not working because the light is then just weird, like outdoor light, as I've said. But when you build a room below and then you click on the room and then you go 1 level up, so you have this yellow outline, you can click on the yellow line and then you can select delete ceiling. And when you do it this way, it's working perfectly fine. And I don't know, like, I've never really figured this out. In all these years of building, stairs have always confused me. And yeah, this is how I can recommend doing it. At least for me, it worked here. I don't know if it's going to work in the future for other builds. You never know what's going to happen in build mode in this game. This is always a mystery. And for the bathroom, I wanted to make sure that your Sims have some privacy, so I used these huge curtains and then a wall decoration which is part of Equalizer, so it looks nice and modern, but no one can see your Sims. I mean, technically for builds like this, I think that privacy is not really that important. I mean, I know that a lot of Simmers think it's important because of realism, and it makes sense, but I feel like for a mansion like this, which is like in between a forest and mountains, so it's like, I don't know, just like somewhere in nature and there are no people around, there's no civilization around, I think it's totally okay to just have a bathtub right in front of a window, just like they do in skyscrapers, because it's so high up no one is probably going to see anything. I mean, maybe some creeps using some camera, I don't know, I don't even want to think about this. But technically, for stuff like this, it doesn't really matter. But I still wanted to include some curtains so there's some privacy for your Sims. I remember in a video I was once like, is there a peeping Tom? I saw this, and then you guys told me that it's part of a mod. So I have no idea. I'm like so disconnected from gameplay at this point. I really have to play again, and I really want to play. Like I really feel like playing, but whenever I'm opening this game, I think, okay, I can build something, and then I build, and that's it. But I really feel like playing again. Like I have constantly built for 2 years now. I have like, I don't know, like Get Famous, for example, which was ages ago. I've never really played Get Famous. I once tried to build, to play, I mean, and then I just started to build again. I don't know. Also, the problem is that I used to use a lot of CC back then, especially for Sims, and I mean, like for CAS. And I don't know, I don't want to go back to CC because I got so used to build without any CC, but I feel like that I'm going to open up this can of worms, and I'm also going to add some build CC, and then I will be sad that I can't use it for videos or only for specific videos. I don't know. I'm just building. And this is it, guys. Here you can see some screenshots, and you can find this build in the gallery, unmodded, CC free, fully furnished as always. And I hope that you have a perfect day. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.